The Agricultural Labor, Minimum Wages, Ordinance, 1984. Ordinance No. 17 of 1984. An ordinance to provide for fixation of minimum rates of wages for agricultural laborers. Whereas it is expedient to provide for fixation of minimum rates of wages for agricultural laborers and for matters ancillary thereto. Now, therefore, in pursuance of the proclamation of the March 24, 1982, and in exercise of all powers enabling him in that behalf, the President is pleased to make and promulgate the following ordinance. 1. Short title. This ordinance may be called the Agricultural Labor, Minimum Wages, Ordinance, 1984. 2. Definitions. In this ordinance, unless there is anything repugnant in the subject or context, A. Agricultural laborer means any person employed in agricultural crop production, but does not include I. A person employed by the government. 2. A person employed in a plantation as defined in Clause 3 of Section 2 of the Payment of Wages Act, 1936, 4 of 1936. 3. A person who works as a family laborer on monthly wages. 4. A person employed by a company registered under the Companies Act. 1913, 7 of 1913, engaged in production and sale of fish or livestock of any kind. D. A bargadar as defined in the Land Reforms Ordinance, 1984, X of 1984. B. Wages means all remuneration which would, if the terms of contract of employment, express or implied, were fulfilled, be payable to a person in respect of his employment or work done in such employment, but does not include any sum paid to such person to defray special expenses incurred by him in respect of his employment. 3. Minimum wages for agricultural labor. 1. The minimum rate of wages for agricultural labor per day shall be 3.27 kilograms of rice or such amount of money as is equal to the price of this quantity of rice in the local market. 2. The government may, by notification in the Official Gazette, review from time to time the minimum rate of wages fixed under subsection 1, on the recommendation of the Council of Minimum Wages and Prices for Agricultural Labor constituted under Section 4. 3. The government may, on review of the minimum rate of wages under subsection 2, fix different rates of minimum wages for different areas, for different classes of agricultural laborer or different kinds of agricultural laborer. 4. Notwithstanding anything contained in this section, no rate of minimum wages shall be reviewed earlier than 3 years from the date on which it was fixed, unless special circumstances so require. 4. Constitution of Council of Minimum Wages and Prices for Agricultural Labor. 1. The government may, by notification in the Official Gazette, constitute a council to be called the Council of Minimum Wages and Prices for Agricultural Labor for the purposes of this ordinance. 2. The council shall consist of a chairman and such number of other members as the government may deem fit to appoint. 3. The council shall, upon a reference made to it by the government, recommend to the government, after such inquiry as the council thinks fit and after consideration of the economic conditions, costs of living and other relevant factors, the minimum rates of wages for agricultural labor. 4. The council may, if the circumstances so demand, recommend different rates of minimum wages for different areas, for different classes of agricultural labor or for different kinds of agricultural labor. 5. In making its recommendations, the council shall take into consideration the views of the Upjala Parishads, if any. 5. Payment of minimum wages. 1. No person shall pay any agricultural labor wages at a rate lower than the rate fixed by or under this ordinance to be the minimum wages for such laborer. 2. Nothing in subsection 1 shall be deemed to affect, in any way, the right of an agricultural laborer to continue to receive wages at a rate higher than the minimum rate fixed by or under this ordinance, if under any agreement or contract or otherwise, he is entitled to receive wages at such higher rate, or to continue to enjoy such amenities and other advantages as are customary for such laborer to enjoy. 6. Compensation and recovery procedure. 1. Any person who contravenes the provision of Section 5 shall be liable to pay to the aggrieved person compensation of an amount not exceeding 2 times the amount which would have been paid to him had there been no such contravention. 2. Notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, a suit for recovery of the wages and compensation payable to an agricultural laborer shall lie to a village court. 7. Protection of minimum wage. The minimum rates of wages fixed by or under this ordinance shall not be called in question in or before any court or authority. 8. Amendment of Ordinance LXI of 1976. In the Village Courts Ordinance, 1976, LXI of 1976, in the Schedule, in Part 2, after Item 5, the following new item shall be added, namely,